Meta Perspective Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to Meta Perspective Podcast. We're your hosts, Alex.
Evan.
And the girl. This is a show where we talk about deep topics that everybody thinks about, but nobody really talks about.
And we have a guest here tonight. We'll introduce her in a second. But if you are joining us for the first time, please give the channel a follow. We have your chat pulled up here. We can see what you guys say and help us respond to whatever topic we're talking about. Because Meta Perspective Podcast is not meta
Without your perspective.
Yeah,
we also have a special guest here today, Adriana. If you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us about what you do.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Adriana, and I'm a wire artist, so I make wire wrap jewelry. Today I just have a few of my pieces to show everyone what I make, and I use real authentic crystals and sterling silver, and I solder, and it's super, super fun. And
Tell us about some of those, like what kind of rocks do you use? Gems or?
So personally, my favorite gemstones are like moonstone and labradorite, and I feel like those ones are pretty common. Like most people know of those stones. I've heard of them before. They're super flashy and really pretty. I like to use stones that are kind of uncommon too, and just
what's this blue one? Like it's kind of blue, black, and clear. Kind of center of the camera.
Yeah, that is actually moonstone. That's moonstone with black tourmaline inclusions in it. So it has like that nice kind of contrast with the black and everything. I thought that particular stone would look really good with like the labradorite that's underneath, and at the top I have a garnet, which is like a red stone. So yeah, and when I'm making my wraps, like when I create with multiple colors, I try to find colors that are going to look good together, or sometimes like maybe like metaphysical, but most of the time it's just whatever looks good, but essentially, like pleasing to the eye. So, but yeah.
So just kind of build your art off of the stone.
Yes. Yep. I definitely build my art off the stone. What I like to do is I sketch out I'd like to sketch out the design first, so I know how to like bend the sterling silver, and before I solder the frames. Not all of those have frames or soldered frames. Like the ones at the top are not. Those are like more of my more simple pieces, but the ones at the bottom do have soldered frames. And so I like to sketch out the design. Most of the time it does not look like the sketch at all, but it's more of like an intuitive flow type thing. So every piece that I make is very unique. I could try to create the same piece twice, but who knows, if it's going to look the same. It's very intuitive. So I just kind of go with the flow with it. So it's really fun. I really enjoy creating these pieces. Yeah.
It seems like something that you really would have to plan out, like as far as interweaving pieces of metal and not crimping them and all that. Like it seems like a pretty intensive thought process that goes into making that.
Yeah, it is. I definitely have like in a container, I have like scrap pieces too. So like if I want to play with like the scrap pieces are really just pieces that just maybe didn't work in a piece, or they're just like maybe not the right size, or just like if I cut a piece of wire and I just want to see how the different shapes and sizes will go with the piece. So with the wire, it comes in all different kinds of shapes and sizes, like different gauges. So lots of the gauges that I use is like 21 gauge, 16 gauge, 18 gauge. And I'm sure you are aware of this, but like 21 gauge is the smallest. And as it goes up, the gauges get bigger. And there's like half round, and there's round and square wire. Anyways, yeah, so it's a whole learning curve and process of getting different shapes and techniques and the way that you want it to look. So
So how long, like, okay, so like we were talking about that one in the middle. Sorry, I know you keep switching back to it. So like how long would something like that take you?
It really depends. Like if I'm in a very intuitive, flow, creative space, it will not take me. I can't really put like an hourly on it because like I've been bad about writing down the amount of hours I'm putting in. Some of them just, for instance, maybe 5 hours, or like another one might be like a lot more. Like I'm sure the one that with the labradorite that you're talking about, that one probably took me a decent amount of time because, you know, I was learning new techniques into it too. So the more you do a technique and have like an idea, which is the point of like sketching out first, so you can get an idea of what you want to, how you want to create it.
Yeah.
It'll make it, you know, go a lot faster. So, but sometimes it's just like you sketch out an idea and it just doesn't look like, or, you know, like you have this plan in your mind. You're like, oh wait, actually that would look better. Or that would flow better. So, and trying to be symmetrical, I try to be very symmetrical in my work too. Asymmetry I really enjoy as well, but that can be a little bit more tricky to make it look like it flows right. So, yeah. So lots of measuring.
With that. And that is one thing I've always thought about. Like symmetry to me is very pleasing, but then well done asymmetry is like the step.
Yes.
It's a little taste of artiste.
Yes, and like to be asymmetrical and just allow it to flow, just to have a really good flow with it. Like there's some wire wrap artists that do very asymmetrical work, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it looks so badass. But I'm like, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. Get there eventually. It's just how their mind works. Everyone's different. So
how callous are your fingertips?
Actually, not very at all. But honestly, like when you're doing work like this, because I use my nails a lot when like doing the wire wrapping and just like moving the wire around, I use my fingernails a lot. So like my fingernails are very short because of it. Yeah. So yeah, like, but they're getting stronger, so that's good, you know. But yeah, it's cool.
So is there anything that inspired you to get into this specifically?
Yes. So as like a kid, I always loved art. I was really big into drawing and creating things with clay and just doing different things like that. And it's literally a topic we're gonna be talking about. My friend showed me The Secret, and I was like, man, like I just work these jobs at corporations and I'm just not happy. Like I just work there for a certain amount of time, whatever. And I'll like it a lot at first. And, you know, with time, it's just like, you know, I don't want to be doing this anymore really, you know? And 2020 hit, and I think a lot of people had like their mind change. Like I know I did. I know other people that I know, like it was just like a shift happened. And for me, anyways, my friend told me about The Secret, and I was like, man, I can be doing anything and have anything that I want. What do I want to be? And I'm like, I want to be an artist. So I tried at first, you know, painting, and I tried ceramics. And then I got into the wire art because I seen a girl that I knew that was doing it. I was like, man, that's so cool. I want to try this. And I tried it, and I wasn't too bad at it. So I was like, I'm gonna keep going with this. And I had an event. It was my first event ever, and I brought my paintings, I brought my ceramic work, and I brought my wire wraps. And my wire wraps sold like the most out of everything. So I was like, I think people like this, and I like doing it too. So I'm gonna keep going with it. So I've been doing it for like 3 years now, and I'm happy doing it, you know, and I definitely want to continue and learn, and I'm going to be getting into metal smithing here soon, and I'd like to learn fabrication. With fabrication, you can make like wedding and engagement rings, and there's just so much you could do, you know, with different tools and materials and stuff. So
yeah, I love the copper like drippings or whatever. How
yeah.
people, like garnish their either glass or, you know, metal.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Very cool.
Yes. Yeah. Metal is really, really cool. And I just love sterling silver, and it holds so much value. And I like copper too. But it's just something about sterling silver just holds a lot of value to me. And I know with time too, that it's actually just personal opinion and just what I've heard from others as well is sterling silver is a very good investment because it is like going up in price, and you never know, it might get as big as gold, who knows, but it's affordable to buy right now, so just throwing it out there to invest in silver. I'm not like a genius or know everything, but
well, I mean, that is true. Like, gold is kind of seen as like a, currency or something like that. But we're finding now more and more that metals like gold and silver and copper, I mean, it's that line in the periodic table. They use that stuff in microchips and cables and stuff like that. So like, while silver might be cheaper than gold, it might increase in price a higher percentage over year than gold would.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it's like, it's funny to think about. Like, I always think about like if aliens were like watching us and they'd be like, huh, they're using it for coins.
yeah.
It's like, it's such a special, element. And yeah.
Unfortunately, we do not use it for coins anymore. But I'm one of those people that if I see like a quarter or something, like if I'm at Aldi or whatever, or like anywhere, if I get change, I always look at the quarters and see if I get one that's actually silver because
Is it pre-1964?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I'm happy that you know that because I had to think first. I knew it was like in the early 60s. Yeah. That it's still silver. But I was looking it up, and like if you have a silver quarter, it's like $5 and something worth the silver. So anyways, it's just, I think it's cool just to collect it and just have it and be like, oh, this is a piece of history kind of, because we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, and I know we kind of like, so this, we kind of messed up the intro a little bit. We didn't even tell her the topic tonight. So it's because we have a guest and we're thrown off a little bit by that. But so like tonight's topic is if anybody out here have seen the movie or read the book The Secret, it's been out for a while now. You've probably heard of the law of attraction, things like that, and that's kind of what started. In a lot of ways, it's like the butterfly effect of conversations that me and Alex have had over the years of why we were doing this podcast, because it's probably about 10 years or more now at this point that we saw that. And, it's something about, something that film or that idea does for you. It's kind of like, magic's real. Like, oh shit, like
kind of kickstart, like,
it
kickstarts
something
your
exciting about it.
Yeah. Your like childhood, adventurous.
Like you just found out you're going to Hogwarts or something, like
yeah, you kind of see the world.
You're a
new.
wizard,
You're like,
Harry.
Yeah, you're like, oh wait, I'm not fucking everything up. I mean, I am, but I could not.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean that introduction, at least for we've talked about it, at least for me and for you and I assume for you too. It opens the door, but then there's a lot of material aspects of The Secret that I find kind of shallow. People just think that they can get whatever they want, and that's kind of that mentality doesn't necessarily help you. So there's things that I've learned over the years of thinking about these ideas in context of my life and seeing the reality of how, what actually works and what kind of is, like a myth or kind of overhyped or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear a lot of stuff, and it's like, what is kind of a metaphor? What is literal? I don't want to sit there and be like, okay, I can just think about this all the time, and then it happens as long as I maintain a good bit. It's like, yes, but you also have to be ready for things. You have to be open to things. So there is an element where you have to eventually factor yourself in order to upgrade to the things that you want. I feel like it is kind of like something that kickstarts you, and you're like, oh, I feel like this is how we work, but I just forgot, or something like.
Because I think it depends on where you are in your life or what you want out of life. And I think as a baseline, I think everybody kind of wants to be happy or whatever, or at least not experience pain or not be unhappy. Neutral is better than pain. So that for a lot of people is their life, and that's kind of one of the biggest takeaways that I had from The Secret was okay. The negative thoughts and stuff going on inside of my head actually do influence how I view reality and my perspective and my perception of the world
And yourself.
and influence, my future thoughts. And that you can take that idea further, but you'll have people that kind of see this as a way to manifest what they want. And that's kind of what it's been reduced to, unfortunately, is just, manifesting things like you did it. But, it's like, okay, baseline, people want to be happy. Above that, you want your needs taken care of. You want stuff. You want things that you think that you need. But then, going beyond that is kind of the key, is ultimate path, to enlightenment is what is beyond the stuff, what is beyond the pain. It's like that is how you push yourself further in that realm. And The Secret kind of doesn't really get there. Not that it's not there to begin with, but the way I think a lot of people, feel after seeing that or reading it or whatever, is that, you can get whatever you want and the world's your oyster. But it is, but it's like your mind's the garden. You got to take care of that shit. You got to take out the weeds.
Yeah, you could say I want to be a millionaire, but you're not good with people, you don't like people, and God's like, the universe, whatever, says, hey, I have something here for you. This guy's about to give you a check. All you got to do is give him that apple that you're not going to eat. You're like, I don't even want this. Why am I carrying this? And the guy walks up and he's like, hey, do you mind if I have that apple? I haven't eaten in days. And he's just immediately like, you lazy bum. No. And that was your money. He was going to give you a check. There's so many opportunities that you will pass up unless you learn to be receptive to those things. So a part of you does have to change. And I think that's kind of the idea of The Secret is it's a softball. It's like, here's this corny thing that says you can get anything you want. But realistically, they also couldn't say, hey, if you apply this to yourself, you don't need a therapist or anybody. You'll fix yourself. They're not doctors. It's more of a spiritual thing. So you can't really sell it as a psychological tool. You can sell it as kind of a spiritual tool, but as far as self-help, I think it's one of the greatest things as far as learning to be dependent on yourself for solving your own problems. I'm in this situation. How do I get through it? I've built up the tools for myself in order to do it by understanding that I have to be a certain type of way to make headway in this world. I mean, you can't be a jerk and be very off-putting and not care about how you dress and become a CEO. You have to conform in some way or another. And it's not so much conforming and looking apart, it's being apart. When you have self-respect, when you have all of these things, when you build yourself up like this, it reflects in how you dress and
right.
And how you come off.
It's internal, not external.
Yeah, it affects how you talk to people. When you respect yourself, it affects how you view other people and your respect to them. And all of these things trickle out to you kind of getting that extra stuff that you want, being that good person. A lot of people, I think that was their main fear of The Secret is, I want a Ferrari, but I'm just always angry. So that should tell you need to apply The Secret to yourself before you apply it to the Ferrari. You're going to crash it anyway, you asshole.
How would you get it out of your living room? I don't understand how I got there in the first place. But, so you've seen, you said you saw it 3 years ago or so?
I actually, I seen it 3 years ago and I watched it again last night. So, I just, before this, I wanted to get a refresher on it. But yeah, I liked a lot about what Alex was saying. And when I first watched it, and when you're learning something new, I had that in my mind, that, if I just focus on having this money or blah, 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 or just, you got to take action too. Like you have to dress the part. If you, you know, like there's so much more to it than just being like, oh, I'm a millionaire and just keep telling yourself that. Like you have to live it. You have to act the part, you know, and like our imagination is so important. Like if you can just, when you first wake up in the morning, just, you know, take a couple minutes and just imagine the life that you want to live before you go to bed. Imagine the life that you want to live, and then allow yourself to think of ways that you could, you know, create that into your life. Or
like immediate steps.
Yeah.
Because that's a key thing, because I feel like what you said is very key. It's like people sit awake at night and they, you know, in the way that you're saying it, you imagine the life you want and how to get there. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people sit awake at night and imagine the life that they want in the context of what they don't have.
Yes.
Or how they're falling short, or how they can never do it. Mm-hmm. And like those doubts and fears start to erode the foundation of that like straight arrow goal in your mind. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about, and what you have to learn in order to actually get what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And to go off that too, I think it's also part, it is part like there is passion. There has to be the energy force, the driving force that doesn't really slow down. The thing where it's like somebody says something in your head doesn't go, maybe I don't want that at all. And then later you come back and you go off. There has, like, when you find something you're passionate about, you fuel that flame. Like that's what you put into. So it's kind of like if you tell the secret, I want to be happy, but I want money, but I want to have fun. So the secret's like, okay, here's an art project. And you're like, well, I like this. It's like, all right, build that. So the more you put into it, like you said, you don't know the time, you don't really know what you put into it other than yourself. And that's the idea is you're not doing this, you're not building this piece because you're like, this is going to be, you know, this is going to make this more expensive. I can do this. You're like, what do I feel like making that I enjoy? Mm-hmm. And that shows in the art. And that to me is what makes art valuable, is when you put yourself into it. Because even if one piece doesn't sell, you still enjoyed it, and that's one for you, or you give it to a friend.
Yes,
and
sure.
And that's part of the process. And as you feed into that and build into that, you watch YouTube videos, you read books on it, you try different techniques. As you build on that, maybe an idea pops in your head. What about a sculpture? What if I was crazy enough to build something that was like 3.5 feet tall, and it was this whole ornamental like piece, like, but then you see kind of an idea. Maybe you don't see the piece yet. You don't know how you're going to build it, but you see like a lion pops in your head, and you're like, or some animal, something that you're passionate about, another passion to go into your passion, and you get this unique idea. And that's how God works. That's how it all works together, is suddenly you're like, oh, I see it. Like, I have to do this. This is a stupid and crazy idea, but I'm going to do it. And when you finish, it's like, this is one of the most intricate wire art things anybody's ever made. And you're like, I didn't even realize. And but that's what it is. It's exceeding your own expectations when you focus on what you enjoy and what fuels what you want, versus, like you said, going for just money. And it's like, if there's nothing fueling that, you need to make changes for yourself to either handle the money, to be somebody who can use that money for good. Otherwise, you're just somebody who's chasing something you don't really want. Once you get it, what are you going to do when you have it? If that doesn't make you
do you
happy?
want to do the thing, or do you want the money? Because there's plenty of ways to make money. If that's all you want,
you can do the thing.
Then you're not going to be motivated to keep doing something that you know, like everyone fails. Like, you can't be afraid to fail at something that you really want to do, because it's going to happen. And like, the only way you can get there is if you push through that failure and keep that goal in mind. And I was actually going to, as an artistic question, I want to know your input on this. So like, in the context of the kind of art that you make, do you think you would sell, or like, as far as like, you know, presenting your art to a music festival or something, if you had one really nice piece that you kind of replicated 20 times, and it's like basically the same thing with different gems, but it was really cool,
like a set
versus like 20 individual weird unique pieces that some some people might like and people might not like or something like that. Like, which one do you think would sell more? Because I feel like if you're looking at a tray of all the same thing, then you're just trying to like pick which one, and it's like harder. But if you're looking at a tray of all unique things, you're like, that one speaks to me. And like maybe the next person's like, that one speaks to me.
Yeah. I think that having individual unique looking pieces is better because like everyone's different. Everyone has like a different style to them, and if you have all of the same, because I have seen other artists and they just make all the same design but with like a different stone, and there's no like real, just my personal opinion, there's no real expression in that, like kind of like you were saying,
right.
like
It makes the individual pieces that make that really good piece look well, because there's 20 of them now that I don't see it as cool anymore.
yeah,
I appreciate the unique one that I find.
yes.
Versus like, oh, I could buy any of these. I don't know which one. I'm going to go to the next guy.
And people know too, or that each piece is unique, and you're not going to find that anywhere else. It's someone could replicate it or something, but to know that you got a piece from an artist that like no one else is gonna have, I think that's really neat. Like I have some ceramic pieces that I purchased from a lady, and I just know no one else is gonna have that piece because it came from this woman, and it's just really unique to her, and I think that's really cool too. So yeah.
So I want to know, in the context of like The Secret and this idea of like, going towards your passions and things like that. So, when you were starting out, tell me about the struggles, because this applies to anyone out there that's trying to do anything. Like tell me how you went from no skills to selling your first piece, or like what it took mentally and physically, what you had to do in order to get to the point where this became sustainable and it didn't just die out.
Yeah. So, you really do, like when you're first starting anything new and you're learning something new, at first, like you put a lot of time in to figure out how to, for instance, with the wire wrapping, make it flow or like make it look good, and learn different techniques. And, yeah, I think I completely lost my train of thought. I just lost my train of thought.
No, so I was so you had to learn some initial things like, techniques, you had to experiment, but like what kept you going? Like what was it that got you from doing your first wrap to selling your first wrap?
Okay. So
basically, like, what kind of struggles did you come across that like?
How did you overcome?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, just
We're like jumping over each other, but
no,
yeah,
all good.
yeah. Like
know what
what
I'm saying?
what hurdles did you have to overcome in order to do this? What tried to set you back? Like with The Secret, staying within the topic, you're gonna be passionate about something. You're gonna do something. You're excited to do it. What kind of things would kind of stop you?
Oh no! Like, how did you keep the passion?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What kind of things try to stop you?
Sorry.
But
No, all good.
But yeah, with the Secret, obviously something, that's the idea. Something's going to come in to give you doubt, and you have to keep going. So there's always some hurdle whenever you're trying to create or do something big. There's always something that tries to push you back.
Yeah, I think.
Just
I think honestly, at first it was like a thing that's going to push you back is maybe like financials, like financially, because you're putting so much time into learning the specific skill, and you want to sell it and all this and this and that. I think financially at first, I had to do other things, just to keep it moving. But
you got to buy all the materials,
yes,
and tools, and all that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was just a financial thing. But if you do something that you're passionate about, you can never go wrong. And if you just keep going, and I think as humans, we just have this thought in our mind where we're like, well, how is it going to go? And just like, it has to go this way or it has to go that way. And we're just so focused on like an end result, but you just like never know how any of it is going to go. But what kept me going with it, I think, was learning, new techniques and seeing how much I progressed over time with each piece that I made. It just kept getting better and better and better. And I'm just like, okay, I can do this. And I think like just the support system that I have with family and friends and just like online, like social people seeing my work and, I think getting compliments and stuff helps too. It makes you like, okay, like people like this, and
that's what you need. Like you need those compliments.
Yeah. So I think that helped majorly. And yeah, it's I'm still learning so much with it, and I really do enjoy it, and it is my passion. And like I said, if you do your passion, just keep going, and you can never do wrong because you don't know where it's going to lead you.
And
Yeah,
and that's something I wanted to say to what you brought up as far as like replicating versus like each unique piece is there have been times where, I've had friends who do art and they'll be like, hey, check out what I do. And I look at it and I see stuff and I see reflection of the same kind of things. Sometimes they are, and it's like different colors, same thing, same structure, different colors, or, they'll tweak it a little bit. And it's always like kind of the same thing. And it's like, that's great. But it's like, I don't want to be one of 5 people who own this. I want to own an original. I want something that you put your heart and soul into because, and then along with that, I've also seen the people, kind of what you were saying as far as like money versus passion too. So you get the people who just make stuff and it's like, that's cool. You're replicating something you like, but how much passion goes into each one of those things that you've already done after the first? And then you also have the people who they show you your art and it's like, it kind of looks like you knew this would sell kind of idea. Like this,
imitating.
The effort doesn't really, I don't see the passion and the detail. I don't see your heart in this. I see this is what people like. This is the style. And it's like, that's great. It looks good. But it's, to me, art is something that speaks to you, where you feel, you look at it and you're like, and you could argue that everybody kind of feels their own thing, and that's what art is. But to me, when you see something that somebody worked hard on, like there's something there. There's some like, little flavor, that little flicker, where you're like, this is special.
Yeah, and
this had so much love and passion into it. I can feel it off of the detail.
There's a great lyric from the band Against Me, which I used to listen to, is an impression of an original defeats the fucking purpose. And it's you have so many people that are trying to copy off of what's popular and all that. And I think this kind of speaks to like what it takes to be an original person that is driven by your own, your own passion, your own flame, and your allows you to sustain yourself. In order to become original, you kind of have to experiment. You have to fail. You have to go out and kind of put yourself out there, get the criticism, reassess. There's infinite amounts of journeys that you can go through. But the point is that you really have to, like, in order to like, because people are always like, oh, I just be myself, or I'm just myself, and this is just me. That person that's saying that went through all the trials and tribulations to become original.
Yeah.
Or unique. Not original, but unique.
That's why some of the best
art... It's
going
to take something.
Yeah, the best artists throughout history always had some of the most twisted, dark pasts where something happened to them. It's kind of like actors or comedians. You just assume they went through some shit, And that's why it's so good, because they're able to take the pain and take these lessons and take what shouldn't make sense to somebody and recreate it through a different light, to where you can actually appreciate it. And that, to me, that's what art is. It's taking something and making people have a reaction to it in a way that says, wow, like there's physical things that are made that I buy from a store that a company presses in a machine and pops out. And then there's this thing that speaks to me. It's like it was made for me. Like this, it's like you feel the attention, the love. You feel like you almost feel their perspective of it. And you look at it and you see it the way they do. And you're like, oh, I love this. I need to have it.
Yeah. It's all energy.
Yeah.
It's energy, and that's what everything is.
And that's the heart of the secret.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, that's another thing that I kind of wanted to get towards too, because it's it takes, and this kind of all relates to, passion that you want to go towards, or anyone out there trying to do something, whether it could even be like working out and improving your body or your physical health or something like that. There's a and this kind of gets to the secret too. I like to say it's like a quantum point A, it's where you are right now, and a quantum point B, and that's kind of your vision of the future. It's like your vision board of what you want to happen. So, there's infinite possibilities between quantum point A and quantum point B. We don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, there's, the secret, the guy talks about, his vision board. He like bought the house that he put up on his vision board at one point. It's like, you never know when it's going to happen. The point is, you have to be focused on that point B, because as soon as you start to stray from your ultimate goal, then you're gonna, you're gonna meander and you're gonna lose it, and you're not gonna come back to it, and then it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, your passion and excitement is what is working things into the plan.
Yeah.
It's like if you're racing a car. Obviously, if you're like, I'm not so sure about this, and you're going 150 miles an hour, I don't want to be in the car with that guy. But if somebody's sitting there and they're just zoned in and they're just passionate and they're like, I love this. I actually enjoy the speed. I enjoy racing. I don't even know why he got in the car if he's afraid of 150 miles an hour. Like, I'm passing 200, dude. Quarter mile. This car's no joke. What are you doing? It's just one guy is passionate about what he's doing and he's going to get there and he's going to beat everybody else. The other guy who doesn't have as much energy into it, it's like a lot of people, they just follow money. And if there's no passion into it, it's going to take you a long time. It is going to be, those are those people who try to give the financial advice. They're like, you just have to dedicate everything. And it's like,
the crush it guy.
Yeah, get to the point where you're just a shark and humans are just assets. And you're like, what? Yeah, it's stuff like that where it leads people away from themselves into the money. And you should be leading yourself to your passions, and that will produce, because people want what you care about, because people have this inherent like understanding of, when I see somebody really enjoying something, whether it's a sandwich, a kid on a playground, or a dress somebody made and they're showing off. When somebody did something for themselves and they're proud of it, you can't help but be proud for them. You just naturally feel it. It's that energy. It's that energy is what creates. That energy is what beats the competition. It's not the guy who stays up and works 15 hours to beat the guy whose 3 hours was worth 9. Like, great job. You did more work than him, but he's not, if he doesn't get there as quick, he's not worried about that. He's happy. He enjoys what he's doing. He's not suffering and struggling. Yeah, suffering's all part of it, but the suffering should be an internal thing that you overcome to get better. It shouldn't be you hurting other people. It shouldn't be you, putting yourself in situations that don't benefit what's around you.
That's another major downfall of people in this mindset of manifest whatever I want. It's that you're trying to do it at the expense of this or someone else, yourself.
People are stupid. I can put this thing out and people will buy it.
Yeah, I mean, and
you're like, I wouldn't buy one myself, but I'll be a millionaire from it. Like, don't put it out there. That stuff
can work, because you hear the only scenario of someone putting out some bullshit and it working is the only scenario, because all the other bullshit that was put out didn't work. So the one that worked, you hear about it, and you're like, I could do that. I could bullshit my way to a Ferrari in my living room, which was kind of like the weird fucking funny analogy we use. Like, I want to manifest a Ferrari in my living room. It's like, that was like, we were trying to do it with our fucking minds, like, Lex Luthor or something. Or
are you talking about you two after watching The Secret?
Yeah, or just like, that was like, it became kind of a joke, because it's like, you can have anything you want. It's like, I want a fucking Ferrari right here, like right now. And it's not realistic. But it's like, technically, you could go out tomorrow and, maybe either get a loan or open up a credit card or something like that. You could rent a Ferrari for a day. Mm-hmm. You could technically have it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like the possibility exists. Mm-hmm. But is that really you really want?
Right.
And it's like, it kind of comes down to,
a balance.
Do you really want the car, or do you want to enjoy your life and not have to work and travel and all this stuff like that? It's not about the money and the stuff. And it's really about that, and that's why people get hung up, because they want to manifest things that they don't fully understand what they are actually searching for. They realize that they're not happy, they don't have a direction, so they just want the easy finish line. But there's never a finish line in life. We get to the first finish line, and then there's the next finish line, and the next. And even if you have everything you want, you're not going to be happy, because you're always going to want more.
Yes.
And like, I realized that a long time ago. It's like, if I had all the money in the world, I would be doing this. I would be hanging out with friends, talking, sharing ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we have a nice bottle of champagne or something like that. Like, maybe I don't have to go to work tomorrow, but it's like, I've made it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And it took a while to realize that that's, there's certain things that we think we want.
And going off of that, that's kind of what you were saying, with you think about it's there and then it's there. Like, we did a joke about that, and the idea of the joke was, okay, I can have a Ferrari if I believe
Manifest a Ferrari.
Yeah, if I believe 100% that within a week I will have a Ferrari. It's like, part of you thinks it's a joke. It's all psychological, dependent on you. So what it comes down to is, why do I want a Ferrari? There is a guy out there who's so insecure and so unhappy and so lost that he thinks that being seen in a Ferrari, having videos in a Ferrari, will make him happy, because he'll have stuff to brag about and say, look, I made it. This is what everybody wants. I did it. And it won't.
Yeah.
But
you don't want the Ferrari. You want someone to care about you.
But there are those people who sit there and go, I bet I could do it. They do the math. They figure everything out. They're like, okay, I'm going to get a job at this place, working part-time on the side for a month. Or for let's say 3 months. And then I'll have enough to rent the car for one day. If I can rent it for the 3 hours, that'll give me all the video I need. And that's where they go from. So it's like, yeah, you could have a Ferrari in a week. But the idea being, do I internally want to spend money on something like that? I don't. So I can laugh and say like, oh, well, you could have one tomorrow. I'm not the guy who actually wants one tomorrow, because I just have no reason to have a Ferrari tomorrow. Like I'm happy.
Probably hard to drive, scrape on the pothole.
Yeah, like you said, I'm happy. You see videos, these McLarens breaking down after 40,000 miles, and the seats are falling apart, and the switches are breaking, the armrest falls out, and you're like I'm happy in the car I got. It's comfy. It's like, I'm not really worried. If I get money doing what I love, like, I'll probably put it to something more meaningful, versus before I watched The Secret. It's like, I might have been that guy. If I didn't see the deeper message in it, I might have been the guy who was like, I can just like focus on what makes me feel or think I'm happy. Like, what tricks me? I drove in a Ferrari. I must be happy. I'm impulsive, and I do everything that I want to do. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. What do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah. That's where you start, and you use The Secret, in my opinion, to look into yourself. And yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. It's like your art, everything you do either reflects you or it reflects you. And that's why people don't buy. It's like you see something, you're like, this is sad and bad.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, that Moonstone one though, it looks like it's off a different planet.
Really? Thank you. Yeah.
Not the moon, a planet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that clear.
That's funny. No, I just feel like we, as people, as humans, like in this society, we just think if we keep buying shit, it's just gonna make us happy. And it's like, no, like I catch myself sometimes, like, just, I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's an inspired thought. And like, if you have like an inspired thought, usually it's good to take it, Sometimes I'll just be like, I want to go shopping today, I don't know. But I feel like now that I'm thinking of it, if I'm in a really good mood and I'm like, I want to go shopping, maybe that's not a bad thing. But like, if you're like in a bad mood and you're like, I want to go shopping because I think buying material things will make me happy, then I think that's a little different, because you get that high just for like a second of buying something, and then it's like it's gone, Yeah,
it's like that fake feeling of, I just went and spent money and I have something, and now I have more, so this will lead me somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's synthetic, versus you being happy in a good mood, and you get this idea like, I want to do art, like, and you go online and you start watching this stuff, and you come across like the necklaces and jewelry, and you're like, oh, that looks like what I want to do. You look up what you need, you go to the store, and when you buy that, that's something you bought out of passion and happiness and excitement, and that is something that leads to more. If you buy something when you're upset, it's like anything you do. Have a conversation with somebody while you're upset versus while you're happy. Which conversation is going to go better?
Yeah, it's like go to the grocery
energy.
store when you're hungry or when you're not hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to buy totally different shit.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like most of the time, if you go when you're hungry, you're gonna buy shit that you're never even gonna eat. You know.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
The worst thing is you buy the stuff, and in that moment you're like, oh, all this stuff looks so good, and then like you don't have that range, that genre of craving again for like a week, and you're like, why did I buy all this stuff?
Yes.
None of this seems good. Like Italian sounded great. Then now I don't want a week or 2 weeks of Italian. Why did I buy all Italian food?
Well, that's another thing too. Like this kind of idea applies to like health and working out and things like that. Because there's plenty of people that will like buy their whole week's meal and want to do like the meal prep and all that. And it's like, yeah, like you're gonna be motivated to do that for like a week or two, but then you're going to buy all the vegetables and all the stuff, and you're going to have it, you got to cook that chicken and all that stuff. Like, you're going to end up burning out, and, you're not going to be motivated unless you find a way to motivate yourself. And, like, it's, that kind of comes down to some internal stuff. And maybe that's a little less tangible than, like, a material goal or, like, some kind of tangible goal. But, like, just improving yourself takes an effort where you have to apply, this is where I want to be. Like, I have to do this.
Yes. There's a healthy balance. Like when I got overly healthy for a while there, it's like I meal prepped every day. I had my time prepped down, and like I was extremely efficient. I was happy. I felt amazing, all the stuff. The problem was there wasn't balance. It was just health. And that health, I felt so good. I didn't really care about the other stuff. But I did kind of notice myself really, like my thoughts, everything was just going around health. It was, what can I do? How can I make this better? How can I increase this? And it got to a point where I realized I was so upset about how I let myself go. I was like, let's clean it up. And I overdid it to the point where that's what I became. There has to be a balance of I need to have a respect for myself to where I take care of myself, but I also need to enjoy myself, which means if my body is craving something, maybe like, you just want to have, brown rice and this and all this stuff because that's what your thing entails. But maybe you can put some like kind of like curry sauce or something into it and some chicken. That's seasoned a little different. And
you got to where you wanted to be.
I did,
but maybe
again,
you realized that wasn't what you really
the thing
wanted.
is that's exactly what it is. Once I got to that point, once I was like, this was my standard. I realized I had exceeded my expectations, and when I saw what I exceeded, suddenly I wasn't even halfway there, and it's like I have to keep going. And it's the same thing. If you have problems with poverty and you have trauma from poverty, and your parents could never make it, and you were like, oh, I'm going to save the family as a child, and you just overfixated, and you nonstop focus on saving the family and getting the money, you'll never get enough money because you started getting money. Once you got good at it and that was your thing, that's where you feel purpose, and you never let go. You don't, it's like you might do stuff to have fun, but realistically what you enjoy, your passion, your focus is on just money, and you become somebody who's just money oriented. And it's hard to connect with people. It's hard to really relate. And I think that's the issue is, especially like I said, I worked out. It was all health, to the point where it's like somebody started a conversation with me and I started to notice. People didn't point it out, but I started to notice the conversation was about health. I'm like, I've talked to 5 different people. Each conversation was about health. How did I do that? Yeah. Like, is that literally, they word something a certain way and I just interpret it and I always work it back to health. Well, if you do this, oh, I know about this. Oh, you should try this. And it's like everything, like, I'm going through this and blah, blah, some anxiety. Well, you know what you need to do? You got to exercise, you got to do that. It's like, it turns into
what
this,
I do.
but it just turned into this thing where this is my answer to I feel good. I feel healthy. It's like, that's great. But I was lacking an aspect of like personality and creativity. And what am I interested in other than just being healthy? Am I also interested in, I don't know, like I used to like cars. How come I don't have conversations with these dudes at work about cars? Why does it always go back to health? Why it's the narrow-mindedness. It's the focused. And that's kind of, to me, what The Secret's about. What it kind of really brought me back to personally was there was all these things I wanted. And it's like I started to understand, like, to get this stuff, I have to change myself. If I want a better job, I have to make myself more respectable in how I present myself. If I want this, I have to be more that. And I started to realize, like, okay, like, oh, the whole point of this is to lead me to a well-rounded version of myself. Because it's kind of like water just poured into me, and it was gushing and going crazy in this dome that had never been broken. And like the water started pouring through the top, and it's just splashing, going crazy. But after a while, it starts to settle, and you're like, as it gets higher, it has less room to move, and it slowly, it kind of starts to even out, and you're like, okay, so I have to apply this. In the beginning, your mind just goes crazy, but then you slowly start going, okay, so this works with that. Each part of yourself that you build up works with another part of yourself you worked on maybe 6 months ago, and you're like, wait, I see something from this. And it's almost like we're naturally
the concept of momentum.
Like we're naturally meant to be a specific type of ourselves. And when we restructure what is important to us, we restructure how we work, is a better way of saying that.
Any thoughts or? I was going to say something. I didn't want to
But what I'm saying, for me, that's what The Secret did, is it led me to me asking my own questions. I want this. Why do I want this? Is this really what I want to put my attention into?
Chisel away at that David.
Yeah. So in the beginning, there's a lot of stuff where you're like, I want all these things. Then you have to be like, which one do I want? And then you start to reanalyze yourself. You're like, what is all of this stuff? What is all of this stuff I want? Maybe I don't want any of this. Maybe I actually want to be more responsible. Maybe I don't want to be somebody who wants all this stuff. You look at all your stuff laid out and you're like, what am I going to pick? It's like a better version of me, and it's like, as you start to add into that stuff, your interests, what you want, all of that stuff starts to change, but in a more well-rounded way that helps you, versus over-fixating on one thing and becoming that thing. You are what you eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And actually that
Not me.
one of the main points that I think one of the most influential things that I got from The Secret originally was that it just made me realize that I've been eating my junk food thoughts. I've been chewing on my junk food thoughts for so many years that I didn't even understand it. I just thought it was my brain. But like, our brains are just a tool. It's an evolutionary tool. And then there's defense mechanisms to protect us. Like, you're not going to be too, outgoing in a group of people you don't know, because they're going to shun you. And that's like, evolutionarily, like, you'd be like shunned.
Or use that against you.
You're going to die, So like, our brains constantly build fear and doubt, and they always judge things from the past and in the future, and it's always like anxiety or regret, and like, I think The Secret just really kind of opened my eyes to, like it says, like, your thoughts are things. That's kind of like the material version, but like, going deeper to that, it's like, your thoughts are, it is a garden. It's a garden, and if you want to grow a dope-ass tree, or like a bonsai tree that's like perfectly trimmed and all that, it's going to take time, one. But two, you got to get all the fucking weeds out of it first. Like, you got to trim that shit, and you have to like learn how to separate yourself from your mind, which is have you ever read the book or know about The Power of the Now, Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah, I've actually, years ago, I met someone that was really cool, and she gave me the book actually, and I think, but I didn't like read it or anything. I think I just wasn't there at that time.
That's anyone out there. If you've seen The Secret, you haven't looked into The Power of the Now, that's the next step. it's the next step.
Yeah.
It really talks about, your mind as a tool, and it talks about separating from your mind, realizing that your thoughts are just electrical impulses that serve a purpose, whether that's protecting you or maintaining your reputation or getting things done, doing a math problem. It's all just, it's noise. But your true self is your ability to look at your thoughts, realize that your mind is not you, and decide, do I want this thought or not? Is this helpful to me? So like, a lot of times when I'm meeting someone new, I would be like thinking about, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? Like, how do I relate? Blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about all this stuff. But then it just teaches you how to be in the moment and like truly listen to a person and have a quiet mind. And then it just comes to you. Like the response just comes to you. And like, really kind of trimming out the negative aspect of yourself, which is what our minds tend to do. That's like the key. Is once you can kind of realize to pick and choose what you want to indulge in, because that's a big problem. I think mental health is like the biggest freaking problem right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking pills and all this stuff. It's like just think about, just like look at yourself. It takes a self-awareness aspect.
Yeah, and I think digging deeper on that, like I catch myself doing this where, I, try to eat what my definition of healthy is and, take care of my hair, just use certain products on my skin to take care of my outer body and this body. But it's also like we got to take care of our inner selves because that's the most important. And, like...
Yeah, no, it comes down to what it really comes down to is before you use the secret to try to get what you want, figure out what you want and who you are. Yeah. Because if you follow something just because maybe somebody else wants it, one, you may not actually have the passion. You'll burn yourself out. You'll fail because you never really wanted it, and that just creates more doubt. Or you succeed and you don't know what to do once you get there because that's what other people said would make them happy because you listen to everybody fantasizing and nobody being true and saying, what I actually want is to be a little better at speaking. I want to be able to like relate to everybody. Everybody's like, what the fuck was that? I want a fucking jet.
It's no surprise that famous people don't like when people run into them. It's like you're famous, everyone knows you, but now you want to hide.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's it right there.
Because
so many people want to be famous.
Yeah, everybody says like it's fame, and everybody worships these people. Then you become one. You're like, this is a lot to keep up with. This is exhausting.
I just want to be left alone.
I want to be myself. I don't want to be this character all the freaking time. Like,
I just have to say one thing real quick that with being famous, I've had this thought, like, imagine people just random people just following you around and taking, I know it's kind of off topic, but like just like random pictures of you all the time. Like you can't even do anything. Like, and I've thought about that because like as a kid, me and one of my girlfriends have talked about this, about how like we had this in our mind of wanting to be famous and, watching the Disney shows and being like, oh, that'd be so cool to be one of those like character, like kids on there or something.
On the bottom of the screen.
I think everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
It's not
and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like my life did not go that way, or like I didn't fully pursue that because it's like I just couldn't even imagine not being able to just have privacy, anyways. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean that comes down to kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It's like you think you want something, but what you really want is more fundamental than that. You want to be at peace. You want to be around people that you love and appreciate you and you appreciate them. It's like these things can be found like in everyone's everyday life, and it's been there. And like maybe you want more, you want more friends, you want more connections, stuff like that. Like it's not wrong to want more, but you really have to refine like what are you looking like if you're trying to manifest something or go towards something, like why? You gotta like ask the Socratic method of it. Like, why do I want this? And once you get it, well, what's going to happen? What's going to be different?
Eventually,
how is it different than right now?
And then eventually that will lead you to, okay, what do I need? Because everything's going to come out to at least what I came to through that process was, I don't really want anything. What I need is to love myself. What I need is to care about others. Like there's things you need to do in order for anything else to work. So it's like, I could look at all these things I want, but I realize I could have all of those and then some if I put all this into me and I love myself. And then you ask, what do I want, essentially, that supports that? So now it's not, I want to be this type of person, real estate agent. It makes so much money and this and that. It's ludicrous. It's lucrative. My cousin does it and he says he can get me in and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to focus money. I'm going to become the realtor guy that just says whatever, lose himself a little bit. Or you say, you know what? I want to be these things, but really I just want to love myself. And what's a better way to love myself than put myself into something or follow maybe a job like I'll work at like maybe a high-end retail store where I can really talk to people and really like, you know, make human connections, get better communication. Maybe I'll work at a computer place and I'll learn more about technologies because I love technologies. What helps fuel the passion that feeds the things that make you feel good? Like you're saying, the power of now. What it comes down to is, are you passionate in this moment? If not, what are you doing? You know, if you want to go towards something, and again, it's like, well, I want to be the best at computers. Well, then why are you sitting here thinking about all the things you're bad at and how you can't accomplish anything and how there's no way you can?
Right.
You should be just thinking about, what do you want to do that supports that? Do you want to be happy? You want all this stuff, and you think that computers and this is passionate and it makes you feel fulfilled.
Sorry.
But again, if that's where that's at, then you need to find something in your downtime instead of sitting there instead of giving yourself time to think about how you're not accomplishing that. Switch those thoughts into, what would get me into a situation where I can become more familiar with it. You know, if I need a job, what kind of job will help me learn at a ground level where I can work my way up and understand it? Or whatever the range is, there's always a step to get you to where you need to go. And that's the idea of the secret. If you're not following what you want, you're going to miss every opportunity. The secret's really just saying, hey, there's a cheat code where you can still get to what you don't want. That's great. But you should be using this for yourself to figure out what you want so that you're passionate. And when something shows up and says, you can't do this, you look and you go, that's fine. I mean, I'm going to try anyway. And it's like, that's the doubt. That's all the doubt in my head is like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm still going to do it with the same passion. And that doubt's like, damn, this guy's following something real. It's going to happen.
Well, I mean, that was, I remember like, so shortly after we watched it, my college roommate, I went to a school that had a popular film program, and the guy had nothing to do with film at that point. He was like, but he liked movies and all that. It's my roommate, Gabe. And, he was like, man, like, you know, I'm like taking these classes, I'm signing up for everything. Like, you know, I should probably do this, but like, I really just want to be a director. Like, I just really want to like get into movies and all that. And I'm like, Gabe, imagine if you had the mind of a director right now. If you thought director thoughts, if you act how a director acted, if you lived, you know, if you presented yourself in the way that a director would, and you did that for 20 years. You don't think for one point in that time that you would be a director? It's like, it just takes like, you know, like, you almost have to move outside yourself in a way to get something that you don't currently have. Because we all have this comfort zone, and like, it's a certain size, and like, you ask top athletes and stuff like that, like the comfort zone never goes away. It just expands.
Yeah.
So like, you got to push yourself and push yourself and push yourself, and like, you know, the things that would give you anxiety or whatever, like a couple of years ago, now you look back, you're like, I don't know why I was even tripping about that. Like,
and that's a great way to say
it. It makes
this.
so much sense to me now. I can just, you know, and then you're on the next thing, and that's how you become a better person.
And that's a great way to say it too, is the comfort zone. You know, if you look at it as like light versus dark. However, whatever metaphor you want to use, that's part of the equation for this. This zone is going to keep trying to close you in. It's up to you to expand it. Your comfort zone should be anything you touch. Your comfort zone shouldn't be what you've been confined to. And if you go through your mind over and over and you just see everything is bad and you change, you're like, if you box yourself into one spot, your comfort zone is your one spot. But if you see a challenge or something that you're like, I'm afraid to do that. If you go past that, if you challenge it, you'll either say, I know for a fact now that I'm willing to challenge this stuff, even though I failed, or you'll say, I just expanded my comfort zone. And that's the idea, is like becoming well-rounded, working on yourself in all these ways to where in the moment you start to eventually see things clearer and you're like, okay, I just need to, it's like you start walking finally and you're like, okay, I think I'm on the path. I think I know what I want. No, I get it. Oh, I see it. By that point, you're running at it. And that's to me what The Secret did for me was a line. That was crazy thing to do, dude. But it made me realize that the things that I'm
just sit down. I don't know how he's gonna get out.
Yeah,
he's got to jump and acrobatically.
I don't know how he got up. I mean,
So,
but yeah, it's like
we are getting up on about how much time do we have, Colleen?
it's probably we probably had about an hour.
Khaleesi.
I don't see the thing.
Click on OBS and the taskbar might go away.
We started about
A little after 9, I think.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
I
so-
saw 9:20.
Right, yeah, 9:20.
I feel like it was close.
We're we should probably wrap it up here pretty soon. And I wanted to make another comment about like I'm really glad that you have a drive to do something that is artistic and creative and that you're passionate about. I think that is honestly, to me, that's the meaning of life for me is life creates, and like that is kind of in one form or another, whether you're creating an experience for yourself or for someone else, we always look forward to something, and I feel like creating art and material things that enshrine like a intrinsic value that's not necessarily the object itself, like that is a way to immortalize our passions, and that's kind of like what drives me to create things like this fucking podcast, or that's what makes me happy. And like whether anyone out there has like, if you don't have any passion, like you gotta like find something that does that for you.
Yeah, everyone has something.
Because you need that,
Yeah.
whatever form it is.
Yeah, I think that's, I personally just, and I know there's so many people that agree with me that we are just not meant to work like 9-to-5 jobs, and if you do, and if you feel like it's something you have to do, you have a family to support and all this and this and that, I totally get it, but just make sure you're making time for yourself to be creative and have a creative outlet, because that's what we are. We're creators, and that's going in with The Secret that, for when we're creators and we create with our mind what we want, and, just material things, but just in our relationships and everything too, we're creating that with our thoughts, and, anyways, yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, you man, like we are quantum observers of this material world. We can pick things up and throw them, and I could break this screen if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's like you have autonomy. You have you're basically given a playground of atoms and energy and stuff. And so it's like, what else is there to do besides progress in some way? Besides, growth, growth and creation kind of like are the same thing in my mind, but it's like, you're creating more of yourself or like you're better, like maybe that's a weird way to say it, but like, it's that's a good thing. It's a good driver for anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we all inherently want. Like, I think that is my answer to the meaning of life, is to create. And it just so happens that like two conscious beings can create a third,
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
With spirituality, like if you believe in a God that created, a world, interceded, it's like there's always a progression and order and chaos. And I think that, for a lot of people, they just want stuff. You really just want the slavery to end, like the 9 to 5, like all the bullshit that we've been given.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to have something that makes you want to go forward.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to manifest your destiny, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
You could have no pennies to your name. You could go buy a like a plot of land in Mexico and grow a bunch of bananas and mangoes and go hunt lobsters. It's like you can feed yourself.
Yeah.
Sugar, we have pounds of sugar. That's like more energy per ounce than dynamite. It's like you have enough to live. You have enough to breathe, and like everything else is kind of up to you. And
and I think too, when it is my time to go, and when I know, it's my time to leave this earth, if I have, from old age, and being in that position. Anyways, I want to look back and think about, I just be happy that I did the things that I loved, and I never, did not do what I, didn't want to do. It's better
to regret something you did than something you didn't do.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like, if I chose the path of 9 to 5, it's like, would I have been there and been like, I love doing that, working, slaving for someone so someone can make a bunch of money off my back. You know what I mean? Like, going deeper into it, and but hey, if you're doing a 9 to 5 job that you are passionate about and you love it and it makes you feel good and you love the coworkers that you're with and it supports you and your family, and you wake up every day and you're just happy. I mean, obviously we're going to have moments where we're not happy. We don't feel like doing something, but if it makes you feel good, do it. If anything, I can give any advice. If it makes you feel good, then do it, and you are on the right path, and pay attention to yourself, pay attention to your intuition. If it does not feel good to you, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't.
You're right, because we're always going to want more. Everyone wants more. So it's like if you think you want more, if you think you want to go for something that's really it's not going to work out for you, or it's going to end in failure. It's like, it's good that you went for it, but like, just realize that it's like, you gotta appreciate what the things that you have, and like that kind of leads to a drive to want more outside of like, wanting more. I don't know, that's a weird way to say it.
No, not weird at all. And this is just like on the topic of The Secret a little bit, and it's been on my mind. Like, you can completely change your life around. There's this guy that I listen to. His name's Garen Jones, and he was like completely just poor. He even was in jail, and he was like living in his car for a couple of years. Anyways, now he's a multi-millionaire because he just like he followed his passion, and he thought about what made him feel good when he was a child. And then he went and he did that, and he just followed that. And now he's just a multimillionaire, and he, does just really good work, and he helps people, so, people talk about how there's like these people, with Amazon and what's his name? Jeff Bezos, whatever his name is, and like, he's making money in that way. And it's not like a very positive, good energy way that he's making money. Just me personally, my personal opinion. But people like Garen Jones is a multi-millionaire by helping others. That's a beautiful, positive way to make money and create your life. Anyways, I really enjoy listening to him. So
and it's So something you said triggered a thought. I'm trying to bring it back. It was about kind of like the passion of man.
But
I had something really good.
no, all good. It might come back to you. But yeah, just
Re-inspire.
yeah, like just
Well, it was the idea of like going, like you saying, like someone has nothing to something substantial, and it, man.
yeah. So
I mean, that stuff does happen. Like you know, you hear about those people, and it's it's the drive that took them there, and it's like, you're never out too. Like you have to, like you could literally quit your job tomorrow and buy things on Facebook Marketplace and sell them on eBay and make a profit. Like you could do that.
Yeah,
there are ways. There are ways to supplement life, and I mean it takes some motivation and drive to go beyond that. But
yeah,
you're not stuck in whatever situation that
Never.
you think you're.
Mm-hmm. Like you were saying, buying things, you could buy things on Facebook and sell it on eBay for more, and just knowing that that's temporary. That's like you're saying, like that's not something you have to continue to do to make money, but maybe that's something you need to do right now because you need, that money so you can buy food and whatnot. But just to know that you can change your life. Like this.
Oh, I remember what it
Cool,
was.
cool.
So okay, I'm like, I don't know the person you're talking about, but like to go from nothing to something, like that's a hard journey. We're not gonna lie about that. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard, and you have to go through those hardships and actually like, I think most people, they say they want to do something, and they look at all the reasons why they can't or what they need to start, or they don't start. And when they do start, they say it's hard or it's not going to work out. Nobody likes it. There's so many different angles of things that defeat like the drive. And the drive is really what you need. So, just realize that like with all the easy buttons in our life right now, like if you really want something, it's going to be hard to do and you're going to fail and people are going to criticize you and do all that. Like,
But these are the things that shape the man.
right, exactly.
Yeah, so-
you gotta
and
you're
it's
gonna
like-
go through that. There's
It's like
no
you're
way
saying-
around it.
It's like you're saying hardships. If you could have two different people, somebody who goes through hardships and says, I see what's going on. I see how bad this is. I want to get away from it by bettering myself to the point where I'm unrecognizable from my circumstances. Or you get the other side of it that says, I'm going to adapt to my surroundings, to my hardships. I'm going to adapt to them, and I'm going to try to capitalize with them. And I think I mean, you look at gangs and stuff, for example, you could grow up in a bad area. You have the option to either educate yourself and try to become somebody that's unrecognizable from where you started, separate yourself, and now you have a story of, oh, you don't recognize me? No, I came from this place. Like, this is what I came from. Well, you don't seem like it. Yes, because I work on myself. Or you have this person who's like, I don't really care how I make the money. I just need to get out of this pain. And some people, a lot of times, are willing to steer into the pain. So that's where you get people who, maybe are like, they're like, I'm just going to be a lawyer. Maybe they're smart enough to do it. But what type of lawyer are you? Yeah. Is it the passion to help, or is it, I'm just not that great of a person and I know I can capitalize on that because other people do?
Yeah, I know doctors and lawyers make money, so I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah. Like, you meet so many people like that, dude.
Yes.
Seriously.
There's a lot of people like that.
And that's the thing, too. It's like, like life is always going to be hard in some way or another. But, like,
you got to follow your passion so that when you go through those hard things,
we have so many.
It's with purpose.
We have so many things in our life now that make things so easy. The comforts are the things that make us feel numb. It's like that
make us sloth it.
The struggles of mundane life are now like amplified. So like, think about people 100 years ago, just at the turn of the 19th century. Think about showering and cleaning yourself and how bad you smell, the deodorant and stuff like that. Like, now we have all this shit that like makes
we're
us smell
very
good.
blessed.
And like,
and the shower was a process too. You didn't
we
turn
don't
a
think
handle.
about that. You're like,
And it was just ready.
back in the day, it's like you got to think about that shit, and you smell like shit all the time.
yeah.
Like,
And going out in porta potties and not having like we literally just have like
Yeah,
a
it's
toilet. Like
the homeless people now live probably better than the people did 100, 200 years ago.
yeah, for sure. We are
Like
so
powdered wigs and, you know.
yeah. No, we are seriously so blessed. And, I try to do this a few times a week where I just sit down, I have my notebook, and I just write out the things that I appreciate about my life, and it puts me in a really good mood. But also just like even before bed, just think about how good your bed feels to you, and just appreciate the things that you have. Like you have a roof over your head, you have a toilet, you don't have a porta potty, like you have a shower, you can clean yourself whenever you want. We
With
literally
hot water.
Yes. Yes. And we can
Could you imagine doing a pump crank to just
Yeah.
pour cold water on you?
Yeah. And we have like a sink, like, if we had to drink the water out of the sink, we can drink the water out of the sink. Like there's so many different things that we just overlook now, especially with having the social media and this and I don't know. It's also honestly like I would love to just get the hell out of social media. Like seriously, like if I didn't have
ready.
Yeah.
You weren't ready for that. And AI is coming.
Yeah. Like if I didn't have need it, for selling, promoting myself and selling my jewelry, but there are other ways I could promote myself, and if I did more events and stuff,
Well, I mean, there's good with bad in it too,
Yeah.
It's like there's good aspects.
There's
and bad
so many
aspects.
good. There's so many good things about social. Like I mean, literally,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's so many good
If,
things.
if we were ready for it.
Yeah, but there's also some things where it's like you scroll like crazy on your phone. I catch myself, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I honestly would just love to sometimes just have a flip phone and just like put my iPhone somewhere else just for like a little bit. So
It's like a month.
yeah, just so I'm getting away from that, and I could totally so much more get tuned into what I'm doing and be more focused.
That would be cool, like a cool challenge, like flip phone for a month.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've thought about it, just getting like a pay as you go, just
like
if someone
FFF.
needs to get hold of me. Yeah.
Start it. But no, you're right though. I mean, it's like it takes a lot to.
Damn, I'm
You
the
can't even
first
get
one.
away with it, and that's the crazy thing too. It's like now, if you go to the DMV, they're like, join the line via your smartphone, scan this QR code, and it's like, I mean, maybe not the DMV, but like,
Yeah.
a lot of places now.
Oh,
it's
so
like,
many places.
You basically you're required to have a phone, and if like you don't pay your bills, they're gonna call you like a million times. If you don't have a phone, it's like, what do you do?
The old school way is like it's gonna be gone. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I don't know. I like it, but also there's. If you think about it too, going on your phone to pay a bill, you're saving paper, and I don't know. There's just so many different aspects, and
You're
yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
right about that. And sometimes like, here, this will help everyone appreciate their lives that they're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Look around your room. Look around this wherever you are. Look at all the things, and pick something. All right, what material was it made out of? I'm looking at a steel beam. Where was that steel mined? Where was it forged? Who carried it? Who drove it to
Yeah.
where it needed to be? Who installed it?
yeah,
Like all these little things. This plastic shit, like metal shit. This bottle cap. It's like, who designed the bottle cap?
right,
Who designed the adhesive, like gelatinous kind of plastic polymer that like lines the inside of the bottle cap that allows it to seal, like hermetically seal, so it
Yeah.
doesn't infect. It's like there's so much that goes into every single thing
Yes.
that we see.
Yes.
We came from tribes.
right.
We lived in huts,
Yeah,
and 2,000 years or more later,
Yeah,
it's
right,
like
right.
we're sitting in a fucking room doing a goddamn podcast.
yeah.
It's like, fuck, man, this is
is-
so
it's-
far
it's
from
so-
where we're supposed to be.
And it's just so cool. Like, it's just so cool what we have now. And, you could.
Sorry.
It's no, all good. No, it's just it's so cool what we have now. And But also, there is pros and cons, but I much rather be where I am now with the things that we have with technology than 100 years ago, and have to do everything the old school way, and having pigeons with mail. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I think it was, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Okay,
it sounds really cool. I wish I knew more about carrier pigeons.
Yeah. No, it's there is so much to appreciate and so much that with a building, like a big building, some people had to get together and put that together, or just anything. Like there was someone that created that or had the thought. There was someone that had the thought to create something, and then someone else, or maybe the same person, put that together. There's just a lot. There's a lot to appreciate.
And we're so separated from our. Our. Come on, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall, buddy.
Yeah, that's not where you should be.
Come. We're so far from where we ended, from where we started that.
Yeah, that's not where we want him.
Come here.
Come on, come down. Come in, bud.
Do not let him fall back and reveal behind the curtain.
Oh, right.
This is Wizard of Oz. This is Wizard of
Come on.
Oz. Do not show the wizard behind the curtain.
But I mean, we're coming up. We're coming up on our time here. We should probably end it up, but
Do some closing.
we'll do some closing thoughts. Honestly, just my little closing thing is appreciate the life that you have. Work towards a better future, but really just your perception is in that little space right between your skull right here, and it's up to you. How you perceive life and what thoughts that you choose to feed into or accept or pursue. These things are up to you. It's not. Don't get deceived by the idea that the world is doing unto you. You are doing unto your world, and you are a result of your thoughts and your past experiences. And that, whether that's good or bad, it can be a trench to work out from. But don't blame anyone else. It's hard to blame yourself, but I'm not talking about blame. I'm talking about responsibility. Have the responsibility of your own mind. Be the gardener to your own mind's garden, and facilitate what blooms, strike out what's bad, and you will live a successful and happy life if you just stick to what drives you forward and don't feed into what takes you down.
And just one more thing on that is when you know that you're the creator of your reality, it brings so much more power. Like you just feel so much more
In control.
Yes, because you are in control, and it's just, just like we were saying before, just changing the way that you think things and perceive things, and
It's liberating.
yeah, it is. And that.
Well, like being a product of your environment versus creating your environment. Mm-hmm. Like you said, being the gardener to your own garden. You can sit there and be, and not tend to anything, and wonder why stuff doesn't grow, or you can, and be a circumstance of
It didn't rain.
weather.
this week.
Yeah. You have this.
But you didn't water
I'm a
either.
circumstance of the weather and the climate and the bugs and all these different aspects versus I'm in control. I see the problem. I can fix it and create a way. It's like victim versus. And to go into my closing, that's
Sorry, I did you have more thoughts? I didn't.
No, all good.
Okay, sorry, I didn't cut you
Thank
off.
you, though.
well for the closing.
Yeah.
Going off what you said earlier. I mean, for me, I saw the secret as if somebody can tell me this thing works, they know a certain aspect of how it works. They have some perspective of how it works.
Yeah.
Which means, will you freaking stop, dude? But it means that clearly there's people out there, somebody who understands this better than they're saying it. So for me, the secret really led me to what I really wanted. And for me, that was the truth. I want to know Thank you. It's like I want to know what all this means. How does all this work, right? And it led me personally to Christianity. Now, it's kind of like what you said earlier. It's like we are creators. The Bible says we are made in the image of God. What is God? God created everything. What is the ultimate purpose of God within our reality? What is the ultimate purpose of God? What is how in reference to who we are and how it affects us? The Creator. He's the reason we're here. Anything else he's capable of or what he is irrelevant to the plane that we live on. So if we sit there and we say we're made in the image of God, if he's a creator, then we're creators. So the whole purpose of us truly, don't let him oh my goodness, that'll break. You are a wild little boy. But, jeez, how? But that's the idea is we are creators. And our purpose, I believe, is to figure out what holds us back from creating. If everybody says, I want to be a certain way, what's stopping you? You can create that way. What is stopping you? And that's what it really comes down to is, what are these things within you that make you question how this works? Even if we want to break it down and be simple and be like, if you follow your dreams, it's like, yeah, but things can happen. Yeah, but look at your perspective. That's your response to it is, but bad things could happen. Okay.
Isn't it so sad? I'm sorry to have
no, I agree.
It's so sad that the most powerful statements have become cliches like,
yes,
live in the moment. You can be whatever you want to be. And it's like, that shit is like, it sounds so fucking surface level and cliche that it doesn't even mean anything anymore.
And we can get into a whole nother podcast.
Yes.
Obviously, of how there's probably reasons for that.
Yeah.
Because clearly with The Secret, if we understand that following your passions and creating a sense of purpose within yourself and then following what you want based on what supports your purpose. If I feel like I'm this type of person, well, this type of job I'd be passionate about. What would stop me from getting to that point? That could be a whole nother perspective. But that's the idea is there's always something out there that is meant to deter you. There is always going to be billboards that of women who are completely photoshopped to destroy actual realities of women. There's always going to be things to men to make us feel insecure. There's always these imbalances that are, in my opinion, completely unnecessary to our structure of everything.
Right.
When I was a kid,
trying to sell shit.
When I was a kid, but that's what I'm saying. It's unnecessary. When I was a kid and you see a toy and they're like, look at this. This kid loves this toy. And you're like, yeah, it looks like fun. I want to buy it. I didn't need all the crazy bells and whistles. And now I watch a commercial and more often than not, I dislike the product because of the negative ad. And I'm like, you guys are trying to get shock, or you guys are trying to do something to sell this idea other than just showing me what it is and what it does. One, I question whether it works. Two, it's like I question whether or not I need it. But that, again, that's the whole thing is if we're broken down to be insecure, we're broken down to not believe we can do this stuff, which is the heart of what I'm saying is, I mean, this is common sense once you see it. It's like, why does there seem to be such an effort to stop us from realizing following what you enjoy makes you happy? Following what other people think makes them happy doesn't make you happy. Yeah. Like, it seems like such an obvious thing, but there also seems to be such a push to be like, no. If you become a famous and millionaire, don't settle for just one. Then you'll be happy. And it's like, well, every famous millionaire I've seen is very unhappy.
Dude, we're coming up on time here, and I mean, it just makes me think of, like, I'm going to end it on this one little snippet, but it's like, it's almost like if the tree falls in the woods and no one's going to see it. Like, people aren't doing shit that makes them happy because no one's going to fucking see it. But that's another podcast. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, we could go on for a lot longer.
Anyway, guys, thank you for watching tonight. If you are joining us for the first time, please give the channel a follow. We do the shows on Wednesday.
I want to throw out if you want to also shoot up,
Oh,
that was like before I could even acknowledge. We're on that wavelength
Yeah.
right there.
Man. Okay.
Yeah, so we should definitely push where to go to get some of this art for yourself.
For our
Yeah.
esteemed guest.
So, I temporarily have an Etsy, but I have an Instagram as well, Earth Eyes Art. I'm also on Facebook. I just don't post on there as much as I do.
Earth Eyes Art one word?
No, it's Earth, space eyes, space art.
Okay. No.
Yeah. So, no, yeah, if you just type Earth Eyes Art into like Instagram or Facebook, you'll find me, and also on Etsy. But yeah, if you want to buy a necklace and you want a little discount. I wasn't trying to stutter. I was just trying to sound cool there.
Say a code word. If they're watching this, banana in your message. Give you a discount because you watched this.
Right. No, we could make that a thing. But no, if you want to, I do better discounts if you want to order through like message me on like Instagram or something. That's a better way, personally. Just because on Etsy there's just higher fees and stuff, and there's no fee through Instagram. Anyways, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this. This is really cool. I've never been on a podcast before, and I didn't know what to expect, and I think this was really awesome.
Well,
We never do either.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Join us next time. Meta Perspective Podcast out.
Bam.
Meta Perspective.